I wandered over to the loch side. The view ahead was absolutely stunning. An enchanting little lochan sitting at the foot of the Cairngorm Mountains, completely surrounded by the pine trees of the ancient Caledonian forest of Rhodymurchus, and sitting in the centre, a tree-covered island, barely exposing the ruins of a 14th century castle. This is Lochan Yellin. I left the main path and headed on through the most wonderful woodland of dappled shade. The warm autumn sun streamed through the canopy of trees as I followed one of the several little paths that meander their way through this magnificent forest of ancient Caledonian pines. The Thieves' Road passes along the east side of the loch. This was the route used by the Caterans, groups of Highland marauders, to raid and pillage in Speyside, and the castle was built as protection against them. The scenery from here is absolutely stunning, and I decided to carry on east for a bit, but I just kept having to stop. About a mile across the Spey from Kingussie stands Ruthven Barracks. 4 fortified barracks were built in strategic locations by the government just after the Jacobite uprising of 1715 in an attempt to police the Highlands. Originally, Ruthven Barracks only consisted of the main building, and it was designed to billet 2 companies of redcoats. This mound stands in a strategic position above one of the most important through routes in the Highlands. There has been some form of fortification in this site for centuries. A castle was built here by Alexander Stewart, the Wolf of Badenoch, in 1371, to replace an even earlier one from about 1230. In 1734, General Wade arranged for a troop of dragoons to be based here, and another building was added behind the main block to stable their horses. The barracks only lasted about 25 years, but they helped achieve what they were set out to do. Ruthven Barracks was built in an attempt to subdue the clans, and one day after Culloden, the barracks itself was destroyed. On the day following the battle, almost 3,000 Jacobites assembled near here. They took the barracks and set it ablaze before heading off into the glens. A couple of miles on, I arrived at the village of Newton Moor. At the north end of the village, we find the excellent Highland Folk Museum. A taxi service is available to transport you from one end to the other. The path then continues through an area of pine woods towards the 1700s Highland Township at the far end of the museum. It is based on the original settlement of Easter Rates, which was excavated just across the glen from Ruthven Barracks. The plan is based on part of the original village and is reconstructed to give an idea of what the township was like in the 1730s. The township here was used as a film set for the shooting of the very popular film series of the historical Highland novel, Outlander. At the entrance to the village, costume staff are in hand to assist visitors and to show them the various points of interest in the township. About 10 miles south of Aviemore, I followed a side road into the Inchriach forest to visit a hidden little corner of Speyside. It was a magical place. This was the Ua Lochans. The view of this enchanting little lochan, surrounded by its fringe of old Scots pines, and dominated to the east by the wonderful backdrop of the Cairngorm Mountains, was absolutely stunning. I carried on along a sunny stretch, then the path starts climbing as it winds steadily uphill. The break in the trees gave me my first view over the Inchriach forest, the Glenfeshie below and the mountains across the valley. They were the outliers of the Cairngorms. This magnificent forest of ancient Scots pines stretches for over 13 miles from north to south, and beyond to the east is the barren outliers of the Cairngorm, with the high plateaus with their many Munros rising dramatically in the distance. In the midst of this magnificent glen are the enchanting Ua Lochans. There are 4 of them, but only 3 are visible from here. I was now back in Aviemore. I stopped at the railway station car park and made my way to the platform where a steam train service is operated by a group of enthusiasts. The Strathspey Railway operates in the restored section of the original Highland Railway line, which was reopened in 1978 by a dedicated group of volunteers. The Strathspey Railway runs along a 10-mile section of the old railway line, which originally stretched all the way to Forres. There is something special about steam trains. When I was a boy, I was absolutely fascinated with them. The sound of the steam just seems to give them an added dimension that is sadly lacking in modern trains. Just over 6 miles north is the lovely little village of Carbridge. Carbridge is named after its most famous landmark, the old Packhorse Bridge. A lot of visitors to Speyside will find Carbridge boring compared to the bizz of Aviemore. I found it to be exactly what I expected from a Highland village. Just over 11 miles from Granton is a beautiful old bridge of Avon. It was built in 1800 and was the only way across the River Avon until a new bridge was built in 1991. At the north end of the bridge is a tower which looks as if it were taken from a Disney film. It's actually the gatehouse of Ballandalloch Castle. I turned back and took a side road across the Spey to the little farming village of Knockandoo. At the east end of the village we find the Knockandoo Parish Church, built in 1993. Just above the church I arrived at the Cardew Distillery, founded in 1811 as an illicit distillery by Helen Cumming, the wife of a whisky smuggler. I headed down from the distillery and wandered along a potholed lane. Ahead were a group of colourful buildings. This was the old Knockandoo wool mill, and it has been in operation in this site since 1784, traditionally weaving blankets, tweeds, throws and rugs. It even makes its own tartan. Much of the back here was added in the 19th century, containing a couple of Victorian looms and various other items of historic machinery. By 2000, the continuous production over the centuries had started to catch up with the ancient machinery, and a trust was set up to take over the mill. £3.5 million was raised and an extensive renovation project was undertaken, and now the mill is once more fully operational. About half a mile down the road is the Speyside Way, so I decided to head down. I joined it where it passes the buildings of the Tarmdoo Distillery and found myself right on the banks of the fast-flowing river that was one of the main reasons why this was the main whisky region in Scotland, the Spey. The Speyside Way here passes the late 19th century Dalbeely station, complete with former signal box and waiting room. Then all of a sudden, as the path opened up in front of me, the huge pagoda of Knockandoo Distillery came into view. I couldn't believe it. 3 distilleries in the same wee village, within about a mile of each other. Just beyond this, we arrive at Craigellachie Bridge. It was built in 1814 by the renowned engineer Thomas Telford. From here it looks as if the bridge ends at a vertical wall, but part of the rock has been blasted away to allow the A941 as it was then to turn abruptly right. The slope and the profile of the bridge is quite dramatic. On the outskirts of Dufftown, I arrived at the Keith and Dufftown railway station. It's now a heritage railway. It's the terminus for the whisky train, a regular service operating between Dufftown and Keith, just over 11 miles to the northeast. With 6 working distilleries in the town, Dufftown can certainly justify its whisky capital title. It's a planned village with 4 main roads meeting at the main square, dominated by its impressive clock tower, which was built in 1839 as a town jail. It's now the tourist information centre. I left the square to visit the most famous of Dufftown's exports and the home of the world's best-selling single malt, Glenfiddich. Glenfiddich have pioneered the industry with innovations like the introduction of the single malt as a brand in its own right, opening up a whole new market. After 3.5 miles, I arrived at Craigellachie. The still room faces directly onto the main road, where a large 3-arched opening exposes the 4 huge copper stills, gleaming in the setting autumn sun. Lochnorlich is 300 metres above sea level. There were wonderful views of the Cairngorms from the loch side as they bathed in the last rays of the warm autumn sun. Families relaxed on the wonderful sandy beach, watching the sun setting over the loch. I wandered along the beach behind a solitary string of trees. It was still warm. It was a gloaming now, these wonderful magical moments that are experienced before the darkness sets in. Well, my tour of Speyside was now complete, but I decided to visit Ruthven Barracks once more on my way back home.